The academy hung like a silver jewel above the newly colonized planet, its lights reflecting softly on the curved surface of the orbiting station. Thousands of cadets from different species moved through the hallways, their uniforms a kaleidoscope of colors and styles. Aliens with shimmering scales, tentacles, multiple eyes, and mechanical enhancements passed one another, chatting in tones that humans could barely understand. Among them, humans were still rare. They were newcomers, observers at first, then cadets, often underestimated and quietly ridiculed. Lieutenant Marcus Hale, a human, strode calmly through the corridors. He was not tall, but his posture made him seem taller, and his presence carried a weight that demanded attention without a word. His uniform was neat, a standard issue of the academy, but he wore it with an ease that suggested years of real experience. Unlike the young cadets buzzing with nervous energy, Marcus moved with a deliberate rhythm, unhurried yet alert. His eyes scanned the hallways, taking in every detail, the flicker of a holographic map, the faint hum of machinery, the subtle gestures of cadets around him. He was here for a reason. This was not a leisurely visit or a simple transfer. Marcus had come to demonstrate something the cadets had yet to understand. Humans were not just clever. They were resilient, adaptable, and fearless in ways that other species struggled to match. The Academy wanted to train soldiers for a galaxy that had grown dangerous, full of threats both technological and biological. Every cadet knew that one mistake could cost a life, and in such a place, underestimation could be fatal. Marcus approached the simulation arena, a massive chamber with metal walls that stretched higher than a dozen stories. The room was filled with holographic targets, automated turrets, and moving obstacles, all programmed to challenge the skills of cadets. A group of alien cadets had already gathered, whispering among themselves. Their eyes tracked Marcus with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Some muttered predictions. The human would panic, stumble, or freeze under the first sign of danger. They had watched the humans train before, and most had concluded that their reliance on improvisation and boldness was reckless. "Warning shots are on," a senior instructor announced, his voice echoing through the arena. He was a tall, slender figure with a voice that carried authority, covered in metallic armor that hummed faintly as it powered his systems. "This will test your ability to remain calm and act under pressure." Human cadet Marcus Hale stepped forward. Marcus did not hurry. He stepped into the arena, his movements smooth and controlled. He did not glance at the turrets or the holographic obstacles. He did not flinch when the senior instructor gestured to activate the defense systems. Instead, he walked forward with quiet confidence, his gaze straight ahead. The turrets fired. They were programmed to detect movement and respond instantly. Bright flashes of energy streaked across the chamber, warning shots meant to intimidate rather than harm. The alien cadets ducked, twisted, and jumped aside, some letting out sharp exclamations. They expected the human to react in the same frantic way, to stumble or panic. Marcus did not. He continued walking. The shots whizzed past him, some grazing his uniform lightly, none hitting him directly. He adjusted his stride just enough to avoid the nearest beams, but he did not run. He did not hesitate. It was as if he could see the patterns in the firing, understand them instinctively, and move with them instead of against them. A murmur ran through the observing cadets. The whispers grew louder as they realized something unusual was happening. This human was not reckless. He was not lucky. He was calculating, precise, and terrifyingly calm. Every movement seemed deliberate, every step measured, as if he had rehearsed the impossible in his mind. "Impressive," the senior instructor said, his voice low but carrying authority. "Cadets, observe carefully. This is how humans handle pressure." The human had walked straight through the test, unflinching, unhurried, and unbroken. He turned to face the cadets. His eyes swept over them, and for a moment silence fell. Then he spoke, his voice calm, steady, and surprisingly deep for a human. "You do not stop because you fear the shot. You stop because you know your path and trust yourself to follow it. Hesitation is the enemy. Fear is the enemy. Only action, measured and precise, allows you to survive." But Marcus had demonstrated something the lessons could not teach: instinct, confidence, and the calm certainty that humans carried even into the most dangerous situations. "Your turn," one cadet finally muttered, stepping forward with a challenge in his eyes. "If you are so skilled, then prove it in a direct sparring test. Let us see if humans rely on luck or skill." Outside the arena, other cadets had gathered, drawn by the commotion. Rumors spread quickly. "Did you see that human?" one whispered. "He walked through the shots unhurt." Another added, "It wasn't luck. He knew exactly where the beams would go. How is that possible?" He thought only of the arena, the obstacles, and the patterns of motion that he would face next. Every fiber of his being was focused. Every step would count. Every action had a purpose. The senior instructor nodded at him, signaling the beginning of the next phase. This time, the challenge would be more complex. Not only would Marcus have to navigate the turrets, but moving obstacles would shift and change, holographic enemies would appear, and the arena itself would simulate hazards designed to disorient and confuse. Most cadets had failed this stage multiple times. Marcus did not flinch. The doors of the arena closed behind him and the lights dimmed. Holographic walls flickered to life, obstacles began to move, and the first wave of automated opponents appeared. The turrets fired warning shots once more, and Marcus continued to walk, step by deliberate step. His mind processed each movement, each pattern, each potential threat, and he adapted instantly. Alien cadets watched in awe as Marcus maneuvered with uncanny precision. He twisted at the last second to avoid a swinging barrier, timed his steps perfectly to pass under a low-hanging lattice of laser beams, and adjusted his pace to avoid sensors that could have triggered alarms. Each movement seemed effortless, yet each was the result of careful calculation. "You are observing something rare," the senior instructor said, voice echoing through the chamber. "Humans have a unique combination of instincts, training, and courage. They do not panic. They adapt. They innovate in ways we cannot always predict." Some could not comprehend how one human could move through such danger without hesitation. Others understood, slowly, that this was more than skill. It was the essence of what made humans extraordinary. Marcus stood at the end of the arena, breathing evenly. His eyes scanned the cadets once more, and a faint smile touched his lips, not arrogance but quiet satisfaction. He had done what he came to do, demonstrate that humans were capable of walking through what others feared, unafraid and unbroken. As he turned to leave, one cadet whispered to another, barely audible. "They fired warning shots and he walked straight through them. I think we finally understand." The cadets would remember this day not as a simple exercise, but as the day they first glimpsed the true nature of humanity. Marcus had shown them that humans were not reckless, not lucky, not ordinary. They were something else entirely, something to be respected, something to be reckoned with. The academy buzzed with new energy that day. Cadets spoke in hushed tones about the human who walked through danger without fear. Instructors took note, realizing that Marcus Hale was not just another cadet. He was a demonstration of the human spirit itself, resilient, courageous, and unstoppable. And somewhere deep inside, even the skeptics could not deny it. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would have to notice. Marcus walked back through the corridors, his movements calm, his mind already on the next challenge. He did not celebrate. He did not boast. He had shown what humans could do, and that was enough. The real lessons were yet to come, but one thing was clear. Anyone who underestimated humans from this day forward would pay the price of their mistake. The cadets watched him go, the first stirrings of understanding dawning in their eyes. They would talk about this day for years. They would remember the way he walked, the way he moved, the way he made danger seem almost irrelevant. And somewhere, deep down, they would know that humans were unlike any other species in the galaxy. Marcus had arrived at the academy to teach a lesson, and he had succeeded without firing a single shot. The next morning, the academy hummed with anticipation. Word of what had happened in the simulation arena spread like wildfire, and cadets from all species crowded the corridors and observation decks, eager to see the human who had walked straight through warning shots without hesitation. Marcus Hale moved calmly through the throng, his expression neutral, as if he were completely unaware of the attention. Yet every eye seemed drawn to him, every whisper of curiosity and awe following him like a shadow. Inside the arena, the setup had changed. The instructors had upgraded the simulation, introducing new obstacles, more turrets, and moving holographic enemies programmed with unpredictable tactics. The goal was no longer simply to walk through warning shots. It was to test how cadets adapted under pressure when their environment itself became chaotic. Cadets from other species had already been briefed on the exercise. Many approached it with confidence, relying on their advanced technology, speed, or unique abilities. They believed the challenge would be easy. Humans, they assumed, were predictable. Marcus stepped into the arena once more. His stride was slow, measured, but every step carried certainty. The doors closed behind him, sealing him inside. The lights dimmed, and the arena came alive. Turrets swiveled, targeting systems activated, and holographic enemies flickered into existence. The first wave moved quickly, firing a series of warning shots. Marcus did not run. He adjusted his balance slightly, shifting his weight in subtle ways, letting the energy beams pass close enough to feel their heat but far enough to avoid injury. He moved in a pattern that seemed almost chaotic to observers, yet each step was perfectly timed. His body reacted instinctively to the incoming fire. Alien cadets watched with growing disbelief. One, a tall creature with scaled skin and multiple eyes, muttered to another, "How does he do it? He is moving through them like it is nothing." Panels of energy swung across the arena, and floors shifted slightly, creating unexpected gaps and sudden rises. Most cadets had been trained to pause, to calculate, to analyze before moving, but Marcus did not hesitate. He jumped and twisted with fluidity, landing on surfaces that seemed unstable. His feet barely made sound against the metal floor, his body bending and leaning just enough to avoid being struck. A holographic enemy appeared in his path, a robotic figure designed to predict cadet movement and cut them off. It advanced quickly, its glowing red eyes locking onto him. Many cadets would have stopped, tried to outsmart it, or waited for it to make a move. Marcus tilted his head slightly, studied it for a moment, and then moved. He sidestepped, timed a low crouch, and passed behind it with a motion so fast it seemed impossible. The robot recalibrated, but Marcus was already several steps ahead. In the observation gallery, whispers turned to excited chatter. Cadets leaned forward, trying to follow every movement. The alien cadets were beginning to realize that this was more than skill or training. Marcus was demonstrating something innate, an ability to process multiple threats, assess timing, and make instinctive decisions that others could not. The third wave of the simulation was the most difficult. The floor itself became unpredictable, with panels that dropped or shifted, forcing cadets to balance carefully. Turrets fired in irregular patterns, and holographic enemies coordinated attacks to block paths and force cadets into corners. Most cadets panicked almost immediately, slipping on the floor, colliding with moving panels, or being hit by simulated fire. Marcus, however, moved with calm determination. He adjusted his steps, feeling the vibrations through the floor panels, reading the direction and speed of the obstacles. He anticipated the turrets' movements by observing their patterns in microseconds, almost like second nature. Each time a turret aimed at him, he shifted just enough to remain safe without pausing or breaking stride. An alien cadet, frustrated, shouted, "He cannot survive this wave, no one can." But Marcus did not hear him. He was entirely focused on the path ahead, on calculating risks and making each movement count. Midway through the simulation, a sudden challenge appeared. A section of the arena was flooded with a low-hanging energy field, forcing cadets to navigate under beams that emitted pulses strong enough to knock unprepared cadets off their feet. Most hesitated, unsure of the timing and pattern. Marcus paused for less than a heartbeat, then moved through with precise timing, letting the field pulse harmlessly just above his back. He landed perfectly on the other side, not a single hair out of place, not a single step misjudged. The alien cadets gasped. They had never seen a cadet move with such control, not under these conditions. Some began to murmur to one another, the words tinged with awe. "This is impossible," one whispered. "He is human, how can he do this?" Cadets had to coordinate with these allies to avoid being trapped, ambushed, or forced into deadly situations. Most cadets relied heavily on their tech or their species-specific abilities, but Marcus relied on something else entirely: observation, prediction, and trust in his own instincts. A holographic ambush appeared to block his path, but Marcus calmly assessed the positions of all enemies, calculated timing, and moved through the gaps with remarkable speed and precision. His path seemed to flow naturally, as though he could anticipate every movement of his opponents before they made it. He reached a junction where several cadets had already been trapped and eliminated by the simulation. Without hesitation, he extended a hand to guide a struggling cadet, a small, winged alien, through the gap. Together, they maneuvered past turrets and obstacles. This act of leadership caused a ripple through the observation deck. The cadets were beginning to understand that Marcus was not just skilled. He was demonstrating human ingenuity, courage, and a willingness to help others under pressure. He was showing the essence of humanity, the ability to adapt, to improvise, and to take responsibility when others could not. The final challenge of the simulation was a series of narrow pathways suspended over simulated pits, flanked by automated turrets and unpredictable obstacles. Most cadets approached cautiously, fearful of making a single mistake that would end the simulation for them. Marcus, however, moved with the calm certainty of someone who had faced impossible odds before. He stepped forward, timing each movement carefully but without hesitation. The turrets fired, the floor shifted, and holographic enemies lunged. Each time, Marcus adjusted instinctively, balancing, ducking, twisting, and moving with precision. He passed through the obstacles as if the arena were designed for him alone, every cadet watching in silent awe. As he reached the end of the pathway, he paused for a moment and looked back. The cadets who had doubted him, laughed at him, or dismissed humans as reckless now stared with wide eyes, comprehension dawning. They saw that Marcus had not relied on luck, but on skill honed through experience, instincts sharpened by constant practice, and an inner calm that allowed him to make split-second decisions. The senior instructor's voice echoed through the arena. "Cadets, observe carefully. This is why humans are respected across the galaxy. They combine intuition, courage, and adaptability in ways few species can match. Watch and learn." Even those who had doubted him most were now silent, processing what they had witnessed. One cadet, the same scaled creature who had doubted him earlier, spoke finally. "I do not understand. He is human, and yet he moved through everything as if it were nothing. How is this possible?" You can train your body, study your technology, and learn every rule in the book. But true skill comes when you can act without hesitation, when you can adapt to the unexpected, and when you can maintain calm under pressure. That is what humans do. It was not that Marcus was invincible, but that he had mastered something deeper, the ability to remain composed in chaos and make choices with clarity where others panicked. By the time the simulation ended, the atmosphere in the arena had shifted entirely. What had started as skepticism and derision had turned into awe, respect, and curiosity. Alien cadets whispered among themselves, replaying every movement, every decision Marcus had made. They began to understand that humans were more than their technology, more than their physical abilities. Humans had courage, adaptability, and an uncanny ability to see patterns and possibilities that others missed. Marcus walked from the arena without fanfare. His job was not to impress, but to demonstrate, and he had done so thoroughly. As he left, a small group of cadets followed, asking questions, seeking advice, and wanting to understand more about how humans thought and acted under pressure. Marcus answered patiently, explaining not only techniques but the principles behind them: observation, timing, calm, and adaptability. By the end of the day, the academy had changed in subtle ways. Cadets who had once mocked humans now watched them differently. Instructors made notes, planning how to incorporate lessons from human behavior into future training. And somewhere in quiet corners of the observation decks, cadets whispered to one another, "We thought we understood humans, but we were wrong. They are something else entirely. Humans were not lucky. Humans were adaptable, courageous, and unstoppable, and the galaxy would take notice." The sun rose over the academy in a glow of soft orange light, reflecting against the curved metallic hull of the orbiting station. Inside, the cadets were already gathering in the training halls, buzzing with quiet excitement. Yesterday's simulation had become the talk of the academy. Everywhere, cadets whispered about the human Lieutenant Marcus Hale, who had walked straight through warning shots, avoided every obstacle, and emerged completely unscathed. Alien cadets, in particular, were uneasy. Many had assumed that humans relied on luck or reckless bravery. Now they were beginning to realize that Marcus' success was neither luck nor recklessness. It was skill, precision, and an almost instinctive understanding of danger. They were confused, frustrated, and fascinated all at once. In one of the larger classrooms, a group of cadets had gathered, attempting to analyze Marcus' methods. Holographic recordings of the previous day's simulations floated in the air, showing every movement, every dodge, and every step. One cadet, a six-limbed creature with pale, chitinous skin, rotated the hologram repeatedly, trying to pinpoint where Marcus had gained his advantage. "I still don't understand," it muttered. "He moves like he can see the future." How does a human cadet move with such precision? No species in the academy has ever done this. He watched the cadets, noting the changes in their expressions. Some were curious, some doubtful, and some clearly impressed. He did not interrupt or boast. Humans, he had learned, often taught more effectively by example than by words. He knew that the true lesson would come when cadets applied what they observed themselves. The instructors called the cadets to a new exercise, one that would not only test agility and reflexes, but also leadership and decision-making under pressure. This time, cadets would not only face obstacles, they would have to lead simulated teams, coordinate with allies, and guide each other through unpredictable scenarios. Marcus was chosen to lead a group of cadets, an unusual choice given his species, but one the instructors made deliberately. They wanted to test how a human's unique instincts would affect teamwork. The cadets assembled in the training arena, a massive room filled with shifting platforms, simulated hazards, and automated defenders. The alien cadets eyed Marcus warily, unsure if following a human was wise. Many had seen him excel in individual skill, but leadership was a different challenge. Coordination, communication, and adaptability were key. Could a human cadet handle it? Marcus stepped forward calmly. "Listen carefully," he said, his voice steady but firm. "We will face multiple threats, moving obstacles, and unpredictable attacks. You will not survive by hiding, by waiting, or by panicking. You will survive by observing, adapting, and working together. Trust in your instincts, trust in each other, and trust yourself." Marcus did not wait for permission. He moved first, demonstrating the path through the initial section of the arena. Each movement was deliberate, precise, and fluid. He did not rush, but he did not hesitate. The team followed, and almost immediately, the differences between human and alien thinking became apparent. Where many cadets paused to analyze, Marcus acted decisively. He adjusted his path in microseconds, shifting his body to avoid sudden energy barriers, timing jumps perfectly to land on moving platforms, and moving through tight spaces without hesitation. The cadets behind him were forced to adapt quickly, following his rhythm and trusting his instincts. A holographic ambush appeared in the middle of the arena, a group of simulated enemies designed to separate and overwhelm the cadets. Most groups would have faltered, panicked, or scattered. Marcus, however, assessed the situation instantly. He turned to his team and gave clear, simple commands. "Left flank, move together. Right flank, cover the corridor. Stay calm. Watch each other." Marcus noticed without hesitation. He stepped back, reached out, and guided the cadet through, adjusting for the creature's size and speed. It was a small gesture, but the effect was immediate. The team realized that Marcus was not just leading. He was observing, anticipating, and ensuring that no one was left behind. The holographic enemies fired simulated blasts, attempting to block the cadets' progress. Marcus reacted instinctively, ducking, twisting, and timing movements to avoid the attacks. But he did not move blindly. Each action was calculated, a combination of instinct and observation. He adjusted his strategy on the fly, changing paths, repositioning team members, and maintaining forward momentum. Cadets who had doubted humans now watched in awe. Their skepticism was replaced by curiosity and admiration. Marcus was demonstrating something beyond physical skill. He was demonstrating human ingenuity and leadership under pressure. The arena's next challenge involved a section with rapidly shifting floors and walls, forcing cadets to move carefully or be trapped. Most alien cadets froze, unsure of which path to take. Marcus, however, moved with confidence. He led his team through the shifting corridors, calling out directions, adjusting his speed, and anticipating obstacles before they appeared. His calm voice and precise movements guided the team like a metronome, turning chaos into a coordinated dance. At one point, a panel dropped unexpectedly beneath the small, winged alien cadet. Marcus reacted instantly, grabbing the cadet's arm and swinging him safely to a nearby platform. The other cadets followed Marcus' example, helping each other instead of panicking. For the first time, they saw that leadership was not just about orders. It was about observation, adaptation, and care for your team. By the time the cadets reached the final section of the arena, most of the team was moving in unison. The alien cadets whispered to each other, stunned by the human's ability to turn individual skill into effective teamwork. "He doesn't just fight," one whispered. "He teaches without words. He adapts in ways we cannot predict. He understands us." The team followed, each step timed perfectly with Marcus' movements. Turrets fired, panels shifted, and enemies lunged, but Marcus adjusted continuously, guiding his team with a combination of instinct, observation, and calm authority. Cadets who had once doubted humans now found themselves relying on his judgment, trusting his decisions, and following his lead. One alien cadet, the tall, silver-scaled warrior, almost collided with a swinging barrier. Marcus reacted instantly, pushing the cadet to safety while maintaining his own balance. The team moved forward, impressed by the human's quick thinking and steady composure. It was not strength or speed that set him apart. It was his ability to assess, adapt, and act decisively under pressure. At the end of the challenge, the team reached the exit together, uninjured and coordinated. Cadets who had doubted Marcus' abilities now looked at him with genuine respect. They understood something they had never realized before. Humans were not merely survivors. Humans were leaders, thinkers, and innovators, capable of handling chaos in ways that other species could not. The senior instructor's voice echoed through the arena. Cadets, take note. Leadership is more than giving orders. It is observation, decision-making, adaptation, and care for your team. Humans excel at this because they combine instinct with training, courage with calculation. Today, you have seen a master at work. He had not rushed, nor had he shown stress. His team followed him, a mix of admiration and newfound respect in their eyes. The alien cadets whispered among themselves, trying to make sense of what they had witnessed. One cadet finally spoke softly, as if afraid to break the moment. "We thought humans were reckless, that they relied on luck, but this is something else. They think differently. They act differently. They see the world in a way we cannot." Humanity had shown its strength not through violence or advanced technology, but through courage, ingenuity, and leadership. As the cadets left the arena, they discussed the events excitedly. Conversations revolved around Marcus, calm under pressure, his instinctive leadership, and his ability to turn chaos into coordinated action. Even instructors who had observed the exercise noted the difference in human thinking and behavior, recognizing that humans brought a unique perspective to training and problem-solving. Later, in a quiet corner of the academy, Marcus reflected on the day's events. He did not boast. He did not seek praise. His goal had been simple: to demonstrate that humans could adapt, lead, and inspire under pressure. By guiding his team through impossible scenarios, he had taught a lesson far more valuable than any individual skill. Humans were capable of rising to challenges that seemed insurmountable, and they could bring others along with them. By the evening, the academy had shifted subtly. Cadets who had mocked humans now watched them differently. Respect had begun to replace skepticism. Discussions about strategy, leadership, and adaptability now included human examples. Marcus, influence, calm, and understated, had begun to change perceptions across species lines. And somewhere in the quiet of the observation decks, cadets whispered once more. "We thought we understood humans, but now we see that they are more than we imagined. They are brave, they are clever, and they lead in ways we cannot match." The true lessons were only beginning, and he was ready for the challenges ahead. Humanity had begun to leave its mark on the academy, not with weapons or power, but with courage, ingenuity, and leadership that no other species had yet demonstrated. The galaxy would have to take notice, one lesson at a time. The academy's training grounds were silent in the early morning, the only sound the faint hum of distant machinery and the soft clatter of cadets' boots on metal floors. Outside, the planet's horizon glowed with pale gold light, casting long shadows across the polished surfaces of the orbiting station. The cadets had gathered for the most challenging exercise yet, one designed to test skill, teamwork, and leadership under conditions that simulated real battlefield chaos. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stood at the front, calm and composed, his eyes scanning the arena. He had already impressed the cadets once with his individual skill, and again with his leadership in guiding a team through unpredictable hazards. But this exercise would push him further. It would test not only his instincts, but also his ability to inspire trust in others under extreme pressure. The cadets around him whispered nervously. Some still doubted humans. Others were beginning to see the truth. Marcus, however, ignored the whispers. His focus was entirely on the arena and the challenges ahead. He had a clear plan in his mind, one that relied not on force, but on observation, timing, and calculated risk. The arena doors opened, revealing a sprawling, multi-level environment filled with moving platforms, rotating energy barriers, and automated defense turrets. Holographic enemies appeared instantly, simulating an ambush designed to overwhelm even the most skilled cadets. "Listen closely," Marcus said, addressing the assembled cadets. "This is not just a test of speed or strength. It is a test of teamwork, observation, and adaptability. You must move together, trust each other, and act decisively. Hesitation will cost you the exercise. Follow my lead, but think for yourself as well." The automated turrets fired in bursts and energy barriers swung across his path, but he did not rush. Each step was precise, each movement deliberate. He timed his actions perfectly, avoiding danger without pausing. The cadets behind him were forced to match his pace. Many stumbled initially, adjusting to his rhythm, but Marcus adjusted as well. He slowed slightly to allow a struggling cadet, then accelerated to avoid a swinging barrier, all without breaking his composure. Observing him, the other cadets began to understand that his calmness was not passivity, it was control. A holographic ambush appeared at the midsection of the arena. Groups of simulated enemies converged on the cadets from multiple directions. Most teams would have scattered, but Marcus acted immediately. He assessed the positions of all cadets, calculated the safest routes, and issued clear, concise instructions. Left flank, move together. Right flank, cover the corridor. Keep your focus, anticipate movement. Marcus' ability to adapt on the fly was remarkable. When a floor panel suddenly dropped beneath a cadet, he reacted instantly, adjusting his stride and guiding the cadet to a safe landing. When a turret changed its firing pattern unexpectedly, Marcus anticipated the new trajectory, timing his jump and directing his team to avoid the danger. The alien cadets watched in awe. They had trained extensively with their species' technology, relied on instincts honed over decades, and yet Marcus seemed to operate on a different level entirely. He combined observation, instinct, and leadership seamlessly, guiding not only himself but his entire team. As the exercise continued, obstacles became more complex. Rotating platforms, shifting walls, and unpredictable energy barriers forced constant adjustment. Marcus moved with fluidity, never panicking, never hesitating. Each decision was instantaneous yet calculated, precise yet adaptable. Cadets followed, trusting his judgment more with each step. In one particularly dangerous section, a group of holographic enemies advanced in a coordinated attack designed to separate the team. Marcus analyzed the movement, identified the weak points, and moved decisively. He positioned himself between the enemies and the most vulnerable cadets, guiding them through gaps in the assault while maintaining his own balance and momentum. One cadet, a small, tentacled alien, nearly lost footing on a narrow platform. Marcus reacted immediately, reaching out and pulling the cadet to safety while keeping his own movements stable. It was a simple gesture, but it demonstrated leadership and care. The cadets behind him began to mimic his example, helping each other through the obstacles instead of panicking. The arena shifted again, introducing a series of high-energy fields that pulsed unpredictably. Many cadets froze, unsure of timing or spacing. Marcus, however, adjusted instinctively. He timed his steps perfectly, moving in a rhythm that allowed him to pass through the fields unscathed. He guided the team through the same path, calling out instructions clearly, calmly, and confidently. By the midpoint of the exercise, the cadets had begun to see the human advantage. Marcus' movements were not reckless, nor was he relying solely on speed or strength. He was observing, calculating, and adapting faster than anyone else could. His instincts allowed him to make split-second decisions that others would have needed minutes to plan. The alien cadets began to whisper among themselves. "He is not just brave," one said. "He is precise. He can see patterns before they exist." Another added, "It is as if he understands danger differently than any of us. He adapts." Floors shifted unpredictably, turrets fired in erratic patterns, and holographic enemies coordinated ambushes from multiple directions. Cadets who had trained for months found themselves struggling. Marcus, however, maintained perfect composure. He moved with purpose, directing his team and adjusting to each new threat instantly. When a turret aimed at a cadet trapped behind a shifting wall, Marcus calculated the timing and nudged the cadet into a safer path, avoiding the hazard. When a holographic enemy lunged at an unprotected team member, he intercepted and neutralized the threat without hesitation. The alien cadets were now fully captivated. They realized that Marcus was demonstrating not only human physical skill, but also a mental approach that was almost alien in its clarity and focus. Humans, they began to understand, did not rely only on instinct or technology. They combined observation, reasoning, and courage into a method of action that allowed them to thrive under pressure. The final test in the arena involved a narrow corridor suspended above a simulated pit, with automated turrets on either side and holographic enemies blocking the exit. Many cadets paused, unsure how to navigate it safely. Marcus, however, walked forward calmly. Each step was deliberate, each motion timed to perfection. He led the team in a coordinated movement, balancing risk with precision, guiding each cadet through the corridor safely. A senior alien cadet whispered to a companion, "We thought humans were reckless, but look, they lead. They see what we cannot, they adapt instantly. It is incredible." Every cadet had made it through the exercise unscathed, guided not by fear or brute strength, but by observation, adaptation, and leadership. They had trusted him, followed his instincts, and learned to act in ways they had never considered before. The senior instructor's voice echoed through the arena. "Cadets, take note. Leadership is more than giving orders. It is awareness, adaptation, and courage. Humans excel because they combine instinct, calculation, and confidence. Today, you have seen an example of this mastery." He had demonstrated what he had come to show. Humans were capable of remarkable feats, not only through individual skill, but also through leadership and guidance. The cadets began to discuss what they had witnessed, their voices filled with respect and amazement. Alien cadets who had once doubted humans now recognized a truth they had not considered. Humans were not only brave, they were strategic, adaptable, and capable of inspiring others under extreme pressure. One cadet, the same silver-scaled warrior who had doubted Marcus before, spoke quietly to a companion. "We thought we understood humans, but now we see that they are more than we imagined. They can lead, they can inspire. And they do it without fear." Respect replaced doubt. Curiosity replaced skepticism. Humans had shown that they could adapt, lead, and excel in ways that other species struggled to match. Marcus had not only passed the exercise, he had redefined expectations and opened a door for the cadets to see a new form of strength. And somewhere in the quiet of the observation deck, cadets whispered once more, "We thought we understood humans, but now we know. They are brave, they are clever, they adapt in ways we cannot, and they lead." He had shown that humans were not just participants in the galaxy. They were innovators, leaders, and survivors capable of facing any challenge. The cadets would remember this day for years to come. Humanity had proven itself once again, not with weapons or technology, but with courage, ingenuity, and leadership that no other species had yet demonstrated. The galaxy would take notice, one lesson at a time. The final day of the Academy's ultimate test had arrived. Outside, the planet's sun shone pale and bright across the horizon, casting reflective light across the station's metallic surface. Cadets from all species filled the observation decks, buzzing with anticipation. Everyone had heard about Lieutenant Marcus Hale, the human who had walked through warning shots, led teams through impossible simulations, and demonstrated a mastery of instinct and leadership that no one had seen before. Now, the final test would put all of that to the ultimate challenge. The arena was vast, far larger than any training hall they had faced. It stretched across multiple levels, with moving platforms, rotating walls, energy barriers, and simulated hazards designed to push every cadet to their limit. Automated turrets lined narrow corridors. Holographic enemies lurked behind obstacles. Entire sections of the arena shifted unpredictably, simulating real battlefield chaos. This was not a simple exercise. It was a test of intelligence, coordination, courage, and adaptability. Cadets whispered among themselves, many still skeptical of humans. They had seen Marcus' skill before, but this challenge was different. Individual talent would not be enough. Coordination, timing, and trust in each other would be required. Many cadets wondered if humans could truly lead a team through such extreme conditions. Marcus, however, stood quietly at the entrance, calm and focused. His expression betrayed none of the anticipation or pressure the exercise promised. "Today," he said, his voice steady and confident, "we will face the final test. It is designed to be impossible if you work alone. You will succeed only if you work together. Observe, communicate, adapt, and trust each other. Most importantly, trust yourself. Hesitation will cost you. Let's begin." Holographic enemies sprang from hiding spots, moving in coordinated patterns designed to divide and conquer. Marcus moved first, his steps deliberate, precise, and unhurried. The first wave of turrets fired in bursts. Cadets who had relied on speed or reflex alone began to struggle. Marcus, however, moved through the field calmly, adjusting his balance and timing perfectly to avoid the beams. He called out directions to the cadets behind him, guiding them with clear, concise instructions. "Right flank, move together," he said. "Left flank, cover the corridor. Step carefully on the moving platforms." They noticed that Marcus did not simply tell them what to do. He observed each cadet, adjusted his path to match their movements, and ensured that no one was left behind. The arena shifted again. Panels of floor dropped unexpectedly, platforms rotated, and holographic enemies advanced in unison to block the team's path. Most cadets froze, unsure of the timing and direction needed to pass safely. Marcus, however, moved with the confidence of someone who had faced greater dangers in real battlefields. He analyzed the situation instantly, calculated the safest path, and led the team forward. One cadet, a small, winged alien, stumbled on a rotating platform. Marcus reacted instantly, reaching out and stabilizing the cadet while keeping his own balance. Another cadet, a six-limbed creature, struggled to navigate an energy barrier. Marcus adjusted his trajectory mid-step, guiding the creature through the obstacle safely. Each action was seamless, combining instinct, observation, and leadership. The alien cadets could not believe what they were witnessing. Marcus was not merely skilled or brave. He was a master of adaptation, capable of responding to multiple threats simultaneously and guiding a team through impossible conditions without panic. They began to understand that humans possessed a unique combination of courage, intuition, and composure under pressure that no other species had mastered. The midsection of the arena presented the greatest challenge yet. A series of narrow corridors suspended above a simulated pit, with automated turrets on either side and holographic enemies coordinated to trap cadets. The majority of cadets froze at the entrance, calculating, hesitating, or debating what to do. Marcus, however, did not hesitate. He moved forward calmly, his eyes scanning the environment, his mind calculating every risk and opportunity. "Step together," he instructed. "Keep your focus, adjust for the timing, and move as a unit. Trust yourselves and trust each other." Each step was timed to avoid turrets, each jump calculated to clear moving platforms. When a holographic enemy lunged at the rear of the group, Marcus intercepted it with a swift, precise motion, keeping the team intact. As they progressed, the cadets began to realize something deeper. Humans did not merely react, they anticipated. Marcus' decisions were not impulsive. They were informed by observation, experience, and instinct. He did not rely on technology or superior speed alone. He relied on his ability to adapt, improvise, and inspire trust in others. The cadets began to move more confidently, following Marcus' rhythm, adjusting to each new hazard as a coordinated team. The final chamber of the arena was designed to be the ultimate test. It was a massive, multi-level space filled with shifting floors, rotating walls, automated turrets, and holographic enemies in constant motion. The exit was positioned at the far end, requiring cadets to traverse the entire chamber while under continuous pressure. Most cadets would fail here, but Marcus approached it with calm determination. "Stay close," he instructed. "Observe each movement, adjust instantly, keep communication open, do not panic, we will finish this together." Turrets fired unpredictably, panels shifted beneath their feet, and holographic enemies lunged at them from every direction. Marcus moved through the chaos with a fluid, almost effortless grace, guiding each cadet through danger, anticipating obstacles, and adjusting in real time. When a platform dropped beneath a struggling cadet, Marcus reacted instantly, grabbing the cadet and swinging them safely to a stable surface. When a turret aimed at a cadet trapped in a corner, he positioned himself to block the shot and neutralize the threat. Every action was calculated, precise, and coordinated. The alien cadets were awestruck. They had never witnessed such mastery. Humans, they realized, were capable of combining instinct, courage, and observation into a method of action that allowed them to survive and lead under conditions that would overwhelm almost any other species. As they neared the exit, the final obstacle appeared. A narrow corridor suspended above a deep simulated pit, with automated turrets firing rapidly and holographic enemies attempting to block the path. Most cadets froze, unsure of the timing and movement required to pass safely. Marcus, however, stepped forward calmly, his movements deliberate and confident. "Follow my lead," he said. "Keep your focus, adjust your steps, and move as a unit. Trust yourselves and trust each other." Marcus guided the team through the corridor with precision, adjusting for every cadet's movement, ensuring that no one was left behind. When they reached the end, the cadets paused, breathing heavily but safe. They had completed the impossible, guided by the human who had walked through danger, adapted to chaos, and inspired them to act beyond their limits. The arena doors opened, and the cadets stepped into the sunlight, looking around in disbelief and admiration. The senior instructor addressed the team, his voice echoing across the arena. Cadets, take note. Leadership is not simply giving orders. It is observation, adaptation, courage, and the ability to inspire trust. Humans excel at this because they combine instinct, calculation, and confidence. Today, you have witnessed mastery. Let this lesson guide you. The alien cadets approached, some bowing slightly, others nodding with respect. They understood, finally, the essence of humanity. One cadet whispered to another, awe in their voice. We thought we understood humans, but now we see that they are more than we imagined. They are brave, clever, and capable of leading in ways we cannot match. The cadets had learned that bravery, observation, and adaptability could overcome even the most impossible challenges. The galaxy would take notice, one lesson at a time. Marcus had led by example, showing that humans were capable of extraordinary feats, not because they were reckless, but because they trusted themselves, trusted each other, and adapted to challenges with courage and intelligence. And somewhere in the quiet of the academy, cadets whispered once more. They fired warning shots, and he walked straight through them. Now we finally understand. Humans are something else entirely.